Well, I don't know about you, but if you're going to start drafting women, what's next? Letting them vote? Interesting. That's a joke, people. All right. Strong feelings about this, Kyle?
Yeah, I think they should register for the drafts. I think they should get paid equally, and I think they should pick up the bill.
That makes sense.
Equality
all around. That makes so. And
open my door.
Yeah.
What else? You know, things I do. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm tired of it, Gavin. Something tells me you're not for this.
I'm all for it.
Oh, really?
They should have to do. They want equality for everything fun. They want to be equal in movies and desserts and parties. How about you're equal in sanitation? How about you have to go down into the sewers and remove rat kings from blocked pipes? How about you go to war and die?
I have a thought experiment here.
Okay.
Imagine, if you don't think, thank you, Gavin, for getting ready for this. If you don't think biology matters, what if this were the reverse? That for the last couple of thousand years, only women fought the wars, and then suddenly in the 21st century we go, you know what? We should let men get involved in the wars, and it's a gender with 50% more muscle mass and a ton more testosterone. So all of a sudden, women are like, whoa. This is weird. This is exactly what's happening in the MMA. If a male fighter has a sex change and fights, the female fighters are like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this because it's unfair. Now they're talking about maybe we have to adjust the hormone levels so women and men can fight equally. So that's an interesting way to look at it that perhaps makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, in your experiment, if we're going to do that, we'll have to talk to President Hitler, because if women were soldiers for the past 100 years, we would have lost World War II.
We probably wouldn't have been embroiled in half as many wars, which is another good point. Women are not naturally war makers as are many men.
What about pagan days? All you guys were doing was sacrificing babies and virgins.
But,
you were horrible.
Sneaky tactics.
But just because women are drafted also doesn't necessarily mean they're going to the front lines in combat. As you know, as Joe pointed out, like there's millions of different roles they can serve in the military. It doesn't mean they have to be combat officers.
They can be cheerleaders for the soldiers. The soldiers.
They're looking after soldiers' kids, keeping the home nice.
But then men could be cheerleaders too, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
You need someone at the bottom of the pyramid.
Exactly. They need those guys at the bottom. I don't even know what that means. I think it's great. I think that, you know what it is? It's like you said, feminists want total equality. This is total equality.
Yeah. Sucks. By every metric, men have it worse off. We're more likely to get raped if you include prison. We're more likely to be assaulted. We're more likely to die. We're more likely to commit suicide.
And
so
you're not
if you want to come over to our side of it, then get ready for some rough times.
I will dispute the rape part, but I will say that industrial accidents, true. People who build bridges generally are men, and they often fall off them. I get that. You know, that happens. And war, that happens. So I guess, you know, total equality means there'll be more industrial accidents.
Great.
More cows.
Right, because you're not as smart or as good looking as women as a whole.
Yeah.
We are smarter and dumber than women.
Yes, that's true.
Is much wider. We have a wide variety. You guys are more sort of like a little bit dumb, a little bit smart. We're total morons and geniuses.
We have
a huge spectrum.
Yeah.
I like us. We're very underrated as men.
Yes. Well, some men are.
Allow their kids to go. They don't only let them go, they facilitate it. They pay the money to go to Cancun, Florida, in this case, California. Why would parents do that?
Well, they're raising brats and spoiled brats, that is, because, again, and you've been doing great coverage on this. I watched all of it last week. When you guys cover this, it's amazing. You're right. Would you pay for... I'm not going to pay for my kid to go down to spring break to just drink and do drugs. I don't even drink.
You won't even let your kid eat a cheeseburger, so I mean...
No, but I also don't drink, and so a lot of that comes from parents. If your parents are sitting home drinking, and a lot of these mothers do party with their kids now. You see this in high school even. Yeah. And so a lot of these parents, if you look at the parents...
They drink with their kids? They smoke pot with their kids?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a huge problem now because they want to be the kid's friend rather than be the parent.
I agree with you.
Well, let's not pretend we can control kids. These are adults, and if they want to sneak off to what is essentially a drunken orgy, then you can pretend you can control them, you can withhold the money, but you work at a gas station 10 shifts, you got enough to go down. I got in a lot of trouble the other day for simply saying a hypothetical scenario. Your son and your daughter, on their own accord, snuck down to what is essentially a drunken orgy. Who are you more worried about? And you're obviously more worried about your daughter, but this has become a sexist thing to say.
Well, hang on. I actually have those comments because you created a bit of a firestorm. All weekend long, people have been commenting about it. Let's go back to the video. This was our Audience Edition show on Friday, and this is what Gavin said.
My daughter, there's no way in hell she's going there. But with my sons, I hope they have a great time. And with women,
alcohol poisoning.
Oh yeah,
Boys
one
can
a
wind
year.
up in a hospital
That happens
bed.
everywhere. That's youth. Getting pregnant is much more harmful than having some uncomfortable sex and getting mugged. The women there are human garbage whose parents don't love them.
Nice jacket, Gavin. Where'd you get that?
Gavin, that's going to backfire on you because those same guys that are going down to spring break and learning how to do that, they're the ones that are going to date your daughters.
Yes.
You don't want them to have this type of a reputation.
This is the problem with all this big picture talk. Like, we're all Stalin and we can control the universe. Spring break is going on, okay? Promiscuous sex is going on. The idea of consensual sex down there is awash. It's a gray area. Now, if a boy...
What do you mean by that?
When a woman has had 10 beers shotgunned down her throat, then she...
So you think it's okay that then it's not rape or sexual assault?
And you think it's okay to send your sons down there?
That's what's happening. The males are sexually assaulting
yes.
females.
Wait a minute. If a woman chooses to drink all of that, assuming she's making the choice to funnel that beer,
right,
and she goes back to this guy's hotel room, right, and they hook up.
This is what everyone says. Everyone goes, what about the sons? Your sons are out there raping chicks. First of all, if it's easier for people to think about, focus on the 100-milers that you talked about who come in from out of town. You sent your daughter into an area where people, the dregs of society, are coming in from 100 miles away and preying on these wasted girls. Now, yes, sons are having sex with women that is in a gray area of consensual. That's not great. I'm not bananas about that. But the son doing that is a very unfortunate, gross, sad, pathetic thing. A daughter doing that, oh my God, it's the end of the universe. She can get pregnant.
So you say there's a double standard.
Or the male
there is a double standard. It's called different genitalia. Sorry.
The male. Where's the male? The male has to impregnate her, Gavin.
Of course, but one is worse than the other. You're the one missing stuff.
But those are the kind of guys, when I was single, I avoided when I was dating.
Yes,
because
try
I didn't want
avoiding
them
them
to have...
after 14 beers.
Well, I wouldn't put myself in that situation.
You know what?
Because
That's what I'm screaming.
Because I had a father and a mother that taught me
We all
not
have
to
fathers
do that.
and mothers. You know the kind of crazy, stupid stuff we all did as teenagers?
Yeah, but
I know, but Gavin, it's different now. It's so different now.
Yes, that's also my point. These kids grow up with porn. Third base, if any of us saw what third base is today, we would have to wash our eyeballs for a fortnight.
Part of it, yes, you say you didn't do that and wouldn't do that, but...
All right, let me move on really quick.
I went to spring break, but I didn't see what I saw in Panama City and the stories I heard from the police officers happening on the beaches of America.
Exactly.
I had never seen footage like that. And
Right.
That's the difference.
It's happening. It's happening.
Emma Watson, the actress who played Hermione in the Harry Potter movies, recently gave a rousing speech at the UN. Well, this poised, eloquent young woman called for men and women to join together in the struggle for women's rights. Well, what does her speech mean for the future of feminism? That's coming up next on The Factual Feminist. Emma Watson, who now serves as the UN Women Goodwill Ambassador, received thunderous applause for her speech before the General Assembly, and some are hailing her oration as a huge win for today's establishment feminism. Well, I'm not so sure. I think her talk was successful precisely because she showed the way to a badly needed alternative. I think she won hearts and minds because she focused on equality.
For the record, feminism, by definition, is the belief that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities. It is the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes.
Now, she correctly notes that today many reject the feminist label. And in fact, according to a 2014 poll, only about 25% of Americans call themselves feminists. Now, Ms. Watson suggests that feminism has lost popularity because many associate it with an aggressive, isolating, male-hating philosophy.
The more I've spoken about feminism, the more I have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating.
Now, she may have been suggesting that the stereotype about male-hating is baseless, but Ms. Watson just graduated from Brown University, and it cannot have escaped her that some of the excesses of today's campus feminism with its penchant for trigger warnings and grievance collecting and demonizing men, even statues of men. She must have noticed all of this. I mean, just look at these gender activists, how they behaved at a University of Toronto event where the writer Warren Farrell was invited to speak about men's health.
You are scum. Rape apologist, incest-supporting, woman-hating scum.
And not to play the victim, just look at what the Tumblr feminists did to my book on the plight of boys and young men. They burned my book. Feminism is supposed to be about liberation, freedom, self-determination, not calling perfectly nice men rape apologist scum, or burning books, or treating masculinity as a pathology in need of a cure. Now, just to be clear, I did cringe several times during her speech, especially when she lamented the alleged injustice of being called bossy when she was a little girl. And I was sorry to hear her recite a version of the massively discredited gender wage gap. But I forgive her the cliches and talking points because she did a good job focusing on the genuine plight of women living in societies that have not had the benefit of two major waves of female liberation. She made it clear that as a young woman growing up in Britain, she enjoyed the benefits of a mostly gender-fair society. So it was great that she gave attention to the 15.5 million girls who will be married as children and girls in Africa who are denied the same education as boys. An American women's movement, a British women's movement that focused on helping girls and women across the globe with their struggle for emancipation, that would have wide appeal. And I suspect that Emma Watson could lead the movement in that direction. But here's what I really liked about the speech. She showed the way to a new kind of gender equity movement. Call it equalism rather than feminism.
Men, I would like to take this opportunity to extend your formal invitation.
She noted the ways in which men's needs are neglected, such as the high rate of male suicide. She acknowledged the importance of fathers. Now, Watson didn't mention it, but in both Britain and the U.S., men are falling behind in education. They're more likely than women to be injured or killed on the job or to be victims of violent crime. And they tend to die several years earlier than women. Now, in the world's advanced democracy, it's just hard to say which sex is doing better because it's a complicated mix of burdens and benefits. So a modern gender equity movement that would seek to help both sexes with their distinctive problems, that could be so successful. So to answer my original question, was Emma Watson's UN speech a game changer for feminism? Yes, it well might be, especially if she and her fellow millennials take it in the humane direction hinted at in her speech. Miss Watson reminded us that feminism is about human flourishing. She reminded us that men and women are in this together. We complement and need each other. We're friends, not adversaries. Maybe instead of masculinism or feminism, it's time for equalism. Well, what did you think of Emma Watson's speech? And can Hermione save feminism, or should we leave it to the muggles? Well, let us know what you think in the comments section.